Every coach has their go-to drills, the ones that actually make a difference and help them win more games. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's episode when Alex and myself, we're going to share our favorite drills that we use in practice to develop our players and put us in the position to hopefully win some games. Okay, so there's really no categories. These are just some of the drills that we thought we would share because we really like them and they've helped our team. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Alex. What is the first drill you want to share?
So the first drill that we use that first came to mind when we talked about this topic was what we call defensive workups. This is something I actually stole from Coach Rooney at East Bay. We got to watch him coach his team and earlier this year, and it was a really great defensive drill that for a while, I'm big on shell drill, on drilling the rotations and all that stuff, but I felt like we were getting a little bit stagnant with it. And how the defensive workups work is they start 2-on-2. So you'll have a player, one on the either slot, wing, you can put them wherever you want really, on one side, and then either the slot or the wing on the other side. And you have two people on the baseline. And the way the drill works is the person on the baseline basically lobs up the pass to the offensive player so that they have time to close out. So it's kind of like that concept of rolling the ball out, right? You're trying to make them catch in an awkward position. And the idea is to think about it like, hey, every time we're playing defense, we want to be disruptive and make them catch out of position and be uncomfortable, right? So from there, it's just a basic 2-on-2. You've got one person in help. You've got one person on ball. That ball gets swung, a couple times. We'll usually dictate how many times it needs to go back and forth so that they get that rhythm between picking up their man, being in help, and then, transitioning back to picking up their man. And then eventually it's live. And from there, the offense can basically do whatever they want. They can set an on-ball screen. They can cut. They can backdoor. They can do whatever they think is the best way to get open and score. But it's a live 2-on-2. If the offense scores, then it just rotates. Next group comes on. Okay, defense goes to offense and they keep their points. However, if the offense misses and you either get a steal or a stop, now it becomes full court transition 2-on-2. So on that stop, now you're going full court 2-on-2 down the other way, trying to get a score. And I find that it keeps the players more engaged because one, they're going to be moving. They know that it's going to be live at any moment to go the other way. And then it keeps that balance between offense and defense. Because one of the things I found in our traditional shell was once that ball went up, it kind of ended up being, like the play's dead. The ball went up, it was rebounded, now it's dead, and then we just kind of rotate. And so this keeps it more game-like, where you've got to box out, you've got to get a stop, and then on the other end, you're looking to attack. As soon as you get that rebound, you're going. You're not just stopping to pass the ball back to coach and saying, okay, who's next? So that's called defensive workups. And eventually from there, you add it into 3-on-3, and then 4-on-4. And so far, that's kind of the limit we've gone. We've never done it to 5-on-5. I don't know how that would really work because the post would be kind of in the way when you're closing out. But 4-on-4 seems to be the max and the sweet spot. And I think it's been beneficial for us because it gets players in different positions. They're guarding on the wing, they're guarding the corner, they're guarding the slot, and they've got to be able to fly around and communicate and then think, okay, now that I've got the ball, what am I going to do next?
Hey, I love it. I love that drill. I feel like that's a drill that teaches you, like you mentioned, so many skills, multiple skills. You're not just learning boxing out. You're learning the transition part. You're learning the closeout part. So there's a lot of cool teaching points there. I love that drill. I'm definitely going to try something like that. Okay. Well, hey, that was a good first one out the gate for sure. I'm going to be a little bit different here and talk about a layup drill. I know, so boring, right? But this is the drill that I think is the best layup drill, best finishing drill that's ever been invented. And the cool thing about it is you can use it in so many different ways to gain an advantage. I call it Russian layups, okay, just like Russians. And this is a dribble drive concept that puts you in a triple gap and has you drive downhill. And the way that the drill works is you have two lines, an offense and a defense, basically down near the block off the court. The ball, they're basically shoulder to shoulder next to each other. And there's a cone up in the slot area. Or you can use a chair or even a person standing is fine. Normally we use a trash can because you do want to have something to run around. A cone's not the greatest. But the ball's on the inside of the line of those two lines. And when you start attacking that cone, you're going to dribble all the way around that cone and you're going to do a handoff with the player you're going against. This is a one-on-one drill. So you're giving the offense an advantage. That player that was in the outside line, you guys are going to meet at the cone, go around the cone. You're going to receive a dribble handoff, and then it's one-on-one after that. And, because you are getting that advantage in that triple gap, definitely to the right-hand side, you should be able to just go hard, attack in a straight line and get a layup. But, if you're going against somebody that's faster than you, then, we use this drill to teach all of our finishing packages, which is stride stops, Barclays, which is like a dribble post up. What else in there? We call them rondos, which are basically like donuts or, it's the same thing as a stride stop essentially. But anyways, the cool thing about this drill is that, first of all, we like to do it to our left hand. We won't even do it to the right hand normally. We'll just say, all right, Russian layups straight to the left hand. Now you're going full speed, all out with your left hand layup. It's game realistic. You get game reps. You can work on your footwork. And then we do it into 2-on-2, into 3-on-3, and we put the other teammate in different positions. So if it's a triple gap that we're attacking, we might put them in the corner. So now you're playing with that backdoor cut or the lift, just the dribble drive principles. It's called a kick up. And yeah, it's great because typically you'll have a layup, especially when you're attacking to your right hand. It's basically a layup drill under pressure, but it'll force the help to come over. Now you can hold that corner, kick that corner three. And we'll also, just to kind of finish it off, we'll use it in a lot of different ways, but we also put the offense in the same side corner. Now when you drive the triple gap, you can rondo down there, you can Barkley down there, and your weak side is filling to replace, kind of fill behind you, and you're looking for backdoors and all that kind of stuff. Said that kind of quick. Not sure if that's even really very followable, but basically you're doing a dribble handoff around a cone, getting into a triple gap, driving downhill with an advantage, and that is one of my favorite drills, and we call it Russian layups.
Do you feel like, since you've been doing that, I guess one question is, do you do that every day? Is that like a daily drill you guys do? And if so, do you feel like you've seen an improvement in your team's ability to finish layups at the rim, with contact, or just make better decisions when they get to the rim?
Yeah, it is a daily thing that we do. I wouldn't say we do it every single day, but it's definitely part of like when we're looking to do any player development, like we're throwing that one in there. And it has translated greatly. It's one of the many pieces I think that helps us use that kind of footwork down there. We really are sticklers on the stride stop and getting into Barclays, not picking up your dribble. And we are definitely seeing players using that footwork and just being more ball strong on their drives. Like the big criticism I have against dribble drive, even though I love it, is that your turnovers just go up. It's like you're just putting yourself in tough spots. And so that's the reason why you should stride stop and jump stop and rondo and Barkley, because just try to minimize those turnovers. And we're seeing that. Yeah. It's a great drill.
I've definitely used variations of that. I've never used it in the team setting, and that's something that I definitely want to try doing. I've used it more one-on-one, for the individual development, but I really would like to, now that you talked about it, add, a second or a third player on offense and defense, and now they've got to make a decision in maybe a smaller gap. I think that's a great way to develop individual decision-making at the basket.
Totally. Yep. Try it out, man. All right, let's go ahead and throw it back to you, and I'm curious to know, what's the next one? Now you got my attention.
Yeah. So the next one, the name isn't that exciting. It's pretty self-explanatory. We call it circle press. And the reason for that is because you basically have players, you get 5 players on offense, 5 players on defense, and you have them run in a circle. Okay. And they're just running in a circle around the key. And at some point I'll yell out whatever jersey I want. So it's whether it's white or blue, whatever it is. And I'll yell out white, let's say. Well, white becomes offense, and white immediately takes the ball, and it depends on what press we're running, right? So if we're running like a zone press, like a 2-2-1, then white's going to take it out like it's a made basket, okay? Because it's immediately inbounded, and the defense has to get into the 2-2-1. So it's good for both sides. One hand, white's trying to get it out quick. On the other hand, the press is trying to get into it quick, right after they scored. And so from there, they just play, and we'll correct it, obviously, if the press isn't being run right or if our press break's not being run right. But it's, for me, a great way for them to get into, again, that game mentality of like the ball went through the basket and we're going to get it and go. We're not going to sit and wait. Because we used to do it very traditionally, which was one team on offense, one on defense, dead ball, run the press, go down to the other end. Okay, ball's dead. Now we're done. And it was just like, the offense was just sitting there and the defense was just waiting for them every time. And in a game, that's not how it works. This team's going to score and there's going to be a scramble. And if you're quick enough, you can get it out before they get into the press. And on the flip side, if you're not quick enough, then the press is broken. So I found that this creates that sense of urgency. And it allows them to still simulate, without being in a full game situation. It allows them to simulate what it would feel like to be in a game and to have to make quick decision making. We also do stuff where, let's say we're going to simulate a man press. And so we'll pretend that we missed the shot. And so I'll launch the ball out and call a color. And then all of a sudden that player will grab the ball, but they won't inbound it. They'll just grab it on the perimeter and everyone else has to just match up immediately. And that's tough, in the middle of a game off of a miss, right? And so we've been playing with that and experimenting with that. And I found that the more we do it, the girls are starting to get better at it. But it's, again, a great way for them to like have to react because they don't know who's going to be on offense and defense. And you know how it is. At first, you got two people guarding the ball. One person's wide open because nobody's guarding them. One person's like, wait, am I on offense or defense? See, they don't even know where they are. And then the more you do it, the quicker they pick that stuff up. So that's our circle press drill. Maybe at some point I'll find a better name for it. But for now, I figured I'll keep it simple.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great drill. I think that that whole circle concept, I think, is something that a lot of coaches use for all kinds of different stuff. And that ability to get into your press is something that I guess it's not like something people talk about, right? Like your ability to actually get into it. And if you coach enough youth basketball, you know that half the time they're running back on defense when they just scored and they're supposed to be in the press. So that's a cool skill. And then also I like on a miss because you don't very often see teams press on a miss, and whether you just want to have like pressure on the ball and maybe you're not trapping or anything, that can add a lot of value too. Like if you pride yourself on being a good if you say you're a defensive coach, well, can you pick up full off a miss? That's pretty powerful and pretty. Yeah, something fun to play with, I think. I know for like us in our man press, kind of take the easy way out, and we like on a made I'm just talking about made basket. When we man press, we'll just tell guys to kind of go to the spots. Like, okay, you're on the ball, almost like setting up a diamond press. You're on the ball, you're there, because that matching up is tough. Yeah, great drill. I think we need to practice that actually as we get into our. We did practice our press, but we have not practiced getting into it. So that's good. How does the rotation work? Are you just going down and back or?
Usually just down. One rule that we have is if you get a steal in the press, automatically you're supposed to score it. Like it's live. So, and we're just trying to create that mentality of like, if there's a turnover in the press, we're attacking. We're not just trying to get the steal and then set it up. Like we're trying to take, usually you got an advantage, right? So we're trying to take whatever it is, 3-on-2, 2-on-1, whatever. So if there's a steal, then they just score it. And a lot of times once that happens, I'll just be like, get into it, just go. And then they'll just take it out again, right? And they'll just keep playing out of it. But if they get it down to the other end of the court and they get a shot up, or let's say the ball goes out of bounds, it's dead. But if they get a shot up and there's a rebound, usually I kill it there, and then we'll kind of set up the circle run again and go from there. And usually what I like to do is to give each team a certain amount of possessions and then reward them. So if I feel like I want to emphasize the press break, I'll give points for that. If I want to emphasize the press, I'll give points for that, and then try and make it a competition, loser runs, so it gets them a little bit more competitive in the drill itself.
Cool. Yeah, anytime you can turn it into competition, I think and it's for running too. That's the ultimate, dude. That's fun. Yeah, that gets competitive. All right, I'll go ahead and jump into my next drill. I'm going to keep the same theme because I really do believe that the best drills in the world are dribble drive drills, at least for offensive development. I love me some dribble drive drills. And so the next one I'll talk about is the Blood series by Vance Walberg. He's the one that I think he came up with these, pretty confident. And there's different ones. There's Blood 33, there's Blood 44, there's Blood 22, I think there's even like Blood 21, and there's some differences there. And that's basically the numbers just represent kind of, are you playing 3-on-3? Are you playing 2-on-2? What is it? So it's a team competition, so you need to break your team up into two different teams and put them basically, I guess, a half court on each side of the court, kind of going on the sideline there, a half court. And then you will have, keep it simple and say we're going to go Blood 22, which is 2-on-2. And don't quote me on the number system. I don't really know the number system fully. But so 2 offense, you would have one person in like the short corner. So we're talking about dribble drive. Your post player is normally in that short corner down there. And then you would have the ball on the total opposite end of the court. And you actually wouldn't have the ball, but that's where your offensive teammate would start. So you got somebody, it's a full court drill, going full court here. Defensively, you just match up on the big. So you're 2-on-2, you've got one person matched up on the big. Now the other player that's matched up on the guard is standing at half court facing, which way do we face? I don't know. I think they're facing the ball or facing the guard, the person they're guarding. And when the coach slaps the ball, the coach has the ball. You're going to run full speed. That guard is running full court from the other free throw line, full speed sprint. And then on the move, you're going to give them the ball. They're going to catch it and then blow by that defender that's at half court standing still. So you're automatically getting to a 2-on-1 right here. It could be a 3-on-2, but you're blowing by that half court guy and you're attacking to go get a layup. And the last defender that's guarding the post player down there is going to try to help on that. And you're really just working in that point is that little dish to the big, right? You're thinking dribble drive. When you drive that triple gap and that big man helps over, you dish it there to the big. And the big right there goes up and lays it in. And you're working on, if that big doesn't take it away, you just rack that thing and you go up strong and you finish that. It's a 2-on-1 drill. Now, when you start going 33, you're starting to kind of add in essentially the reads that you're making in dribble drive. So it seems like it's a fast break drill kind of, but it's not really. It's really just trying to create an advantage, get you downhill in that triple gap. And then if you have 3 players, the third player could be on that same side as the post player. So the post player's opposite the side that guard's going to be racking it down so you can dish it to him. And then right behind him in that same side corner is a guard. So when you go blood 33, now you're basically making the read of rack it, no, because the defender comes over and takes that away, the post player. Then it's hit the post player on the dish. And here's where the next level read makes, is the helper helping out? Because typically the guy that's guarding the guy in the corner is going to help the helper. And that pass that you were just making to the big in blood 22 is now not open in blood 33 because there's a helper. So you're throwing that skip pass to the guard who's lifting out of that corner. That's a skip pass in dribble drive. So that's, you can also move that third player and put him in the strong side. And now you're kind of working on that triple gap, the guy in the corner. You can kind of move things around however you want, but that's essentially the drill. It's a classic. And I do use it pretty often, but the only downside I would say to it is it's not like very continuous. It's a lot of go down, set that up. Offense goes to defense. Those guys got to sprint down to the other end, set it up, ready, go. But yeah, that's the blood series, man. I like it because it makes the decision making process when you're going like all out sprint, which is hard to kind of manufacture normally. So that's why I like it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I've heard about those drills before, and I know there's videos on them, and I've always kind of been like, yeah, I need to go watch them and take a look at it. And for some reason, I just have never done it. And so now that you say that, I'm a little more intrigued about how I can do that. And I know what you mean about like the continuous drill. I think that's something all coaches are looking for, is how do we make a drill that is just going and flowing and you don't have to stop and set up every time, because one, I think it's better for like the conditioning of the player, right? They're constantly having to move and they have to think while they're tired and they're running. And then two, it just keeps the energy in the practice better, right? Like when people are standing around for long periods of times, they get kind of like distracted and lazy and they're less likely to be engaged. And when they're moving and constantly having to think like, okay, I'm back on the court in 20 seconds, like then you get higher level engagement. So I totally understand that as well.
Cool. I'll throw it back to you, my man. Go ahead and give us the next one.
So the next one I have is what we call 4-man get back. This is, I think a lot of coaches do this drill. They either do it with 4 people or 5 people, and I've done it both ways. But you have one team on the baseline, one team at the free throw line. You pass the ball down to the baseline to one of your players of the 5 or 4 that are down there. Whoever catches the ball, that defender that's opposite of them on the free throw line area is going to come down and have to touch the baseline, right, while the rest of the team is advancing. And so you basically you're putting the team in an advantage and disadvantage situation. So it's a 5-on-4 or a 4-on-3, depending on how many you put on the line. And then from there, they got to scramble. I like it as a defensive drill because one of the main things I see, especially when I get new kids in, is they don't truly understand how to like stop ball first and pick up the closest pass and give away the long skip pass. And it drives me nuts. The first time we do this, some kid will pick up strong side, nobody will pick up the ball, and then 2 people are guarding weak side. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, how do you score in this game? And it's funny because for us, I think it's just so ingrained in us that we know what to do, but you'd be surprised how many kids don't really know how to do that, And so that's a great drill that it teaches them just pick up ball first, stop that, worry about strong side, worry about the closest first pass on the other side, and then give away that long one. And teach the person coming back into the play to recover to the longest pass. Not to run to the ball or not to run to whatever else it is that they think they're going to go cover. So that's a good one. And then for the offensive end, it's teaching you how to take advantage of those situations quickly, because that's one thing I find, like when we do 3-on-2, 2-on-1, let's say, I don't give the offense on the 2-on-1, I don't give them a second shot. They got to rack it or that's it. Because in a game, you usually don't get it. If you miss it, like that's it. And I've seen coaches before do things where it's like you can get unlimited rebounds, and I'm like, that's not realistic. If you're taking like 6 passes back and forth to get the layup, and I'm like, that's not realistic. There's going to be someone flying in after that first or second pass. So it's good for the offense to have to make a quick decision and make them understand that, look, it's going to be like 1-2 quick passes, maybe 3, and then that shot's going to be open and someone's got to take it, because if not, you're giving up that advantage. And it goes back to what you said, I think a few episodes ago, the small advantage, big advantage type of thing. Most of the time when you got a 4-on-3, you should get a big advantage pretty quickly. So you've got to be able to take advantage of that. So that's a drill I like. Again, we call it 4-man get back, and I think it's just good at incorporating a lot of different things into it.
Yeah, no, you made a lot of good points. And like you said, a lot of people love that drill. And to me, it's like the only way that I know to work on transition defense. There's other ways maybe that are not as good, but it's the best way to work on transition defense, getting matched up, which I think definitely at the youth levels is a huge struggle. Like, I think by the time they get to varsity, they got it. Maybe they're not great at it. Maybe your team needs to work on it, but like at the youth levels, like it's bad. Like they're just like lost out there, getting matched up at least. So cool. All right. I guess the next drill I'll talk about is starting to become a little bit more common. I keep hearing people talk about quick strike, but this drill truly is the best transition offense drill. So we're talking about I really do feel Russian layups are the best layup drill. I really feel like the drill you just outlined is the best transition defense. I feel like this is the best transition offense drill because it will program your players to play so fast. Like you will, don't run this the day before you have a game, because you will just be playing so fast in the game that it happens to me. We'll run this drill in practice and then we'll scrimmage, and at the end, and it's just like turnovers and it's just mayhem. But here's the drill. Quick strike is 5-on-5, and all it is playing 5-on-5 and trying to score in the first 7 seconds or as early as you can, running any kind of primary transition you have or secondary transition, because the way it works is all based on the scoring. Sorry, I'm struggling with this one. It's all based on the scoring. So you get 30 seconds every time you get the ball, and it counts down 30, 29, 28, 27. If you score at 27, then you just scored a 27-pointer. So normally we'll play to 70 or we'll play for 2 minutes long. And yeah, people will score 27s, 26s, and it's hurry up offense. Okay, you're trying to score quick, and the incentive is there with the score counting down to score quickly. And so yeah, you do have to be okay with some bad shots. There's going to be a ton of bad shots, but nothing will get your players pushing the ball, getting it out quick better than this drill here. So that's my next one, quick strike. I don't know. Did I explain that okay? Do you understand that one?
Yeah. No, that one's it's actually pretty simple, but it's the incentive that really gets them pushing it, which that makes sense. And that's one thing that we've talked about before when you're trying to get people into do we drill it? Do we emphasize it? We've used that word a lot, emphasize. Maybe it's incentivize. Maybe that's the word we should be using. But I think the incentive that you use in the drill is really the key ingredient. I think there's a million ways you can do a drill, and you could find a lot of different ways to do it. But if the incentive's not right, then you won't get what you're looking for out of it. And I feel like the more I coach, the more I'm realizing, okay, what's the incentive? What am I looking to get them to do out of this drill? And how do I make them want to do that? Because I can sit here and give them a box out drill and and teach them boxing out or whatever, but if I don't have the right incentive, then they don't really put all the same effort into it, right? They don't put that same, or sometimes the incentive's a penalty, right? It's the opposite. It's almost like a negative incentive. So that, I think in that drill, clearly it's, hey, we want to score high numbers. And you already know, I'm sure, I'm just thinking about it. Also, I know your team a little bit, but I'm also just thinking about it for any team. Someone comes down the court and it's like, hey, you can get a 25-pointer if you score. Any player is going to be hyped about that, right? So, of course people are going to gun. I can already see that happening, and I can understand where that would be beneficial. I think you obviously pointed out the potential negatives, which is if you're playing too fast and too out of control, then it can get crazy, and it can kind of just turn to chaos. But I think there's a fine line, and it's like how close are you willing to dance on that line between complete chaos and organized chaos, where now it's just making decisions and reads, and can we get the right shot? Because there is something to be said about being able to play fast and play up tempo and get a good shot every time.
Yeah, totally. It's all depends on what you value and what you believe in, I think, as a coach. But, I like the analytics on transition shots. So that's me. And those are wide open threes and layups at the rim, getting into advantage basketball, and when you get on transition, I feel like you got a good chance to get into a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-3. But yeah, that drill right there is crazy. Well, playing fast.
Yeah, like playing fast is popular right now. Like it's kind of like the NBA plays fast. I feel like, college is playing faster than it used to. Like the idea of just more freedom and playing at a faster pace is it's what's more in right now, and the more slow it down offense and the set it up every time is just not the same. I'm probably leaning more on this maybe slower side, not necessarily that I'm running sets every time, but I'm a little more controlled in that. But even that is probably faster than it was 15 years ago for teams, So I think the game has just kind of changed that way.
Totally. And I think everybody works on, their transition offense in some ways. So if you are running some 5-on-0 transition offense, throw this one in as the kind of live part of your practice. And I think your players will really have a lot of fun doing that. And you'll see them play faster than you have before. So there's definitely some value in the drill. I've recently noticed like when we do run that drill in practice and then scrimmage later, like it is definitely a lot more squirrely. I have to be ready for that. So they're high school kids, they're high school players, so they can get influenced differently. But okay, let's keep it going.
Yeah, the last one I got here is the Laker drill. Again, that's what we call it. I don't know if that's the official name for it, but this is another transition drill. And the way this drill works is you have one player, they can start on the free throw line. They're aiming to go to the other basket, so they're basically going three-quarter court. The other player's at half court, and it starts out one-on-one. So they're one-on-one, and the player either scores or they don't. Same thing. They get one shot, and that's it. We're not giving them like 20 shots. So they scored or they don't. Either way, if they score, they keep the point. If not, then there's a player with them, like on their same team, who now is going to inbound it. So basically, if you're on defense the entirety of this drill. And then if you're on offense, you're on offense the entire time. So it's one-on-one, then the defender flips back around, and now it's 2-on-1 coming back, okay? And then when those two players cross half court, the defense has a runner that comes in. They have to touch the middle of the circle and then come in. So it's basically 2-on-1 transition with a runner coming in behind them. So then they finish that, 2-on-2. Okay, now we're going back again. Now it's 3-on-2 with a runner coming in. So eventually it's 3-on-3. And then come back 4-on-3, right? Eventually to 4-on-4, and then eventually the last one is 5-on-4 to 5-on-5 if the runner gets in quick enough. Most of the time, if the offense is being efficient, they'll get a shot up before that runner coming in even gets into the play. But sometimes they're a little slower and the defense gets back, and then it becomes a traditional 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. So you do that, you keep track of your points, and then afterwards you flip it, and you get the defense on offense on defense, and then they keep their points, and then that's one round. And I've done it different ways. Sometimes I'll make them run after every round. Sometimes I'll say, okay, we're going to do like 3 rounds, and whoever has the most points is going to be the winner, and then the other team is going to be the runner. But it's just another way to get them in transition, definitely more geared towards the offensive side and to make the right reads out of it. But it's also something where the defense has to think like, okay, I'm in a disadvantaged situation. How am I going to play this? But it's starting smaller, where like the 4-man get back, you're usually starting with full teams right off the bat, So these are 2 different ways to work on that. And I think the main thing what you talked about is a lot of these drills we're talking about, they're fun. Like they're competitive, they're fun, but they also are teaching something. And I think that's how you really engage, especially high school athletes. And I would even argue any level athlete is, yeah, the higher level you get, the more business-like it gets, and the more likely you're going to be able to get a college or a pro guy to say, okay, I can deal with a practice that's not necessarily the most exciting because I know I'm getting better. But at the same time, like it's a game and there's supposed to be some enjoyment out of it, and if you're not enjoying practice at all, if every day is just, let's just run 5-on-0 and then let's do grind out defensive drills and that's it, it takes some of that excitement out of practice, and I remember even in college having drills and stuff that I really liked and I was always looking forward to, and I'm sure that you probably did as well. So I think all of these drills, that's the one core thing that kind of ties them together.
No, I agree. That's huge, is the competition part and having fun. I mean, I love all these 4-on-3 type drills and stuff like that because it kind of skips all the dull part of like, I guess how the way I look at offense of like being in neutral, and it gets you right into like advantage, like playing with an advantage and trying to find that advantage. And I think it's cool because like playing like the drill you just outlined, being able to play 2-on-1 is needed. You need to practice playing 2-on-1 because you'll get those. If you get a good outlet and you pass ahead, it could be a 2-on-1 all the time, or like in press break, right? When we're getting pressed, if we can pass ahead up the sideline, like it's a 2-on-1. or maybe a 3-on-2. And so like you have to convert in those situations in the games. Like those are those aren't plays, those aren't sets, those aren't any calls. It was just a pass ahead, and now it's a 3-on-2, and like you have to score in those situations. You can't just come up empty-handed every time. So yeah, just drilling those things over and over again. So like it just comes second nature to the players, I think is important. All right, let's go ahead and I'll throw one more in the hat, and then we can maybe do a bonus one each if we have one. If not, we can close it out then. But this next drill is a defensive drill that really drills down into help the helper. So this is 3-on-3. You start with somebody on, there's different ways you can do this, but essentially this is how we do it. You start with the ball on the right wing, let's just say, with a defender right there. What we do is we have the player shot fake that defender lifts, and then we just rip it and drive it baseline. So that's how we kind of give the offense the advantage there is I have the ball in the wing, I shot fake, he lifts, I rip that thing and attack baseline. The other two players that are on my team are on the opposite corner and the opposite wing. So it's 3-on-3, like I said. And then their defenders are in help, and we call it bottom of the eye, top of the eye, like the letter I essentially, but that's basically your bottom help side, and then your help to helper is on the top of the eye there. And they're essentially in a line, the guy that's guarding the corners under the basket, and typical help side. The guy that's guarding the guy in the wing is a couple steps ahead of him, and they're in a line right there. And when I drive it baseline, that guy's going to rotate over and stop the drive. We call that fire help. The offense is going to make that pass to the corner, and that pass is free. So we're working on the baseline drive, automatic kind of right-handed pass to that baseline corner guy and offensively. And then that can't be stolen. And then we're going to throw one more up to the guy in the wing. That can't be stolen. And then there we're live. So the guy that got shot faked and his guy drove, he's going to X out or peel out, meaning the helper is going to jump switch for us. You can do this however you want, but we've talked about this help rotation a little bit, where the guy that's under the basket helping will actually switch on to the driver. The guy who just got shot faked and got beat will peel off and go X out and match up on the wing. So that ball will go corner, wing. You're getting a closeout right there. So you just worked on your help side with some rotations, getting a closeout on that wing, and then we're just live. Normally driving to the right. If you try to take away middle, it's a good drill because you have a good angle to kind of take away the middle because you're coming from that opposite side with a good closeout. And then you're just playing live off that. And we just call that 3-on-3 help the helper. So that's a good defensive drill for us.
Yeah, I like how it makes them, you got multiple actions there, because you got the closeout, you got the drive, the help coming over, the kick over, or baseline drive, baseline drift, basically, and then kick into the corner, and then you got a long closeout there. So you've got a lot of different actions, and we do some things that are kind of similar to that. I think the biggest thing that I've found with those drills, and the one you do actually sounds a little bit more live than mine, but like with our normal shell, one of the reasons I switched it up from that was because it just felt so robotic. Like the players were just waiting for the whistle to be blown or waiting for this, and then we'd go live. Let's say like we went live, they stopped the first rotation, the ball got kicked out, and then now we're just playing live. Well, guess what? All the talking, quiet. All the rotations, gone. And it's like they're just used to that same routine in the drill, and they couldn't actually apply it to real situations, And so I think that's one of the things I've been trying to figure out is how do we get these drills to now be implemented into game situations? And part of it is, I think, mixing it up and doing different stuff. When you do the same drill every day, they just get used to doing the drill. And I think sometimes the actual action can get lost in translation. You know what I mean? And they're just waiting for coach to blow the whistle. And it's like in a game, that's not going to happen. Someone's just going to beat you, and you've got to be able to have help step over. So I like those drills where you can mix things up and do some different things with them. And it sounds like that's one of those that you can.
Yep. And we've been really trying to watch our help side guy in practice the past couple of days. And I feel like with the shell, it's hard because in the game, there's so much movement. The players are just constantly exchanging, downscreen exchange, pass, fill. And your help side is just getting mixed up so often. It's like they really got to it's just constantly switching. The help defender's like, okay, it's me. Now it's me. And now it's me. And now it's me. And like in the shell drill, I feel like it's like, okay, it's the person that like knows it's them. And then once it gets kicked out or whatever, like you said, like now it's starting to mix up, and now no one's even in the help spot because they already kind of feel like they did their job. So Yeah, that's really the challenge, in my opinion, for the helper is like once it does start mixing up, how do you recognize that it is you, and when it's time for you to get out of there because your guy just moved, like you have to like kind of communicate to somebody else to come in and fill it now. I don't know if that's really a super thing that's taught often, but that's when I was watching tonight. I'm like that guy should tell him like, hey, it's you now. Like I'm out because he's like not even seeing it. But anyways, back to the drills. Yeah. So anyways, do you have a bonus drill?
I don't have a bonus drill. One thing I guess that just kind of made me think about it when you were just talking about that was maybe in your shell drill. So I don't say it's not a bonus drill, but it's a way you can maybe amplify your shell, because I still think there's value in it, is just adding in those cutters on the offensive side when the ball is being swung. So that's something we started doing last year. We'd never done it before. One of my assistant coaches was like, hey, we're not getting these rotations because once it's live, like what you said, players are moving. Why don't we just send cutters while the ball's moving around in the shell? So like we're swinging it around the perimeter. Every time you pass, you got to cut or screen away or something. And so now the defense is constantly being put in that place where it's like, I'm help, you're help, whoever it is. And I do think that helped. So that's just maybe my quick tip of how to amplify your shell is let the offense move. Like it still doesn't go live until you blow the whistle, but at least now the defense doesn't just have that one person sitting there like, I know I'm in help. They never know when it's going to happen, so they have to always be ready.
Love that. That's great stuff. Okay, cool. Well, let's see, should I throw a bonus one in there? I'll just throw one bonus one in there because this drill I actually do love. This is continuous 2-on-2 full court. So you split your team up into two different teams, and basically you go offense, defense, off. So you're going to come down on offense. And so for us, we like to run like fingers cuts or drag screens because you're kind of just going 2-on-2 down the court together. And fingers cuts is like the dribble drive cut where you're kind of like cutting across, doing a little butt screen right there. And then the drag screen is just like a ball screen. Or we'll do other actions too, like throw and goes, like with a post player or whatever. But I like that drill because playing 2-on-2 in transition kind of like that, like there's so much space. Like it's just fun to watch. Like as far as dribble drive goes, like these guys are definitely getting to get downhill. There's no help defenders and stuff, and then work on all that footwork that we talk about. But yeah, you just go offense, and then the new offense comes on the other end, going two against your defense, and then two new coming back and forth, back and forth. And yeah, whatever kind of actions you want to run as a coach, I think you can find a way. We've even done like where you dribble down and hit a coach and then screen away. Just real simple and working on different reads there. But like I said, it's a great drill because there's so much space and they're in transition. So that's 2-on-2 continuous. Any final thoughts here, Alex, before we wrap it up?
I think the last thing is kind of what we said earlier is find drills that one are going to benefit your player's development, that also fit into what you're trying to do on offense and defense, and that are competitive and fun. And I think that's really the key there is make it competitive, make it fun, make there be some type of incentive for them to want to do it, and you'll get more out of it. There are tons of drills. Honestly, almost any drill is going to give you some benefit, but I think you can get the most out of them by getting the players engaged and bought in, because they're going to play harder and it's going to stick with them more, and then that's how you get it to become second nature. So that would be my final thoughts on the drills in general.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about making fun, competitive drills that will add value and develop your players. So, all right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe. And if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, you can follow us as well there. And with that said, we will see you guys in the next episode.